Well, good morning, fellowship. My name is Willie Morris. I'm one of the pastors here at Fellowship Victory Ministries. Today, we are excited, man, because we are kicking off our second series called Sacrifice. And Sacrifice is a series that we've put together to help you in your daily walk with Jesus. And really what the series is all about is giving you the strength to recognize that you're going to mess up, you're going to fall, you're going to fail. So long as those failures do not become your future. And so long as you do not let those mistakes become idols, and that will be not of God's nation, of God's plan, and of God's will for your life. So Sacrifice is really a series all about letting go. And we're going to be in a particular passage that we looked at before in our first series. But before we get into this new series, we're going to pray. And then after we pray, we're going to dive directly into the Word. Heavenly Father, I want to welcome you, and I want to welcome our believers and unbelievers alike who may have come from all walks of life and from everywhere around the world to listen to this, and have taken time out of their daily lives to actually listen to what I have to say and what you have to say through me. This is not the time for me to boast of my ego, or for me to boast of where I come from, or for me boast. This is the time for you to flow us through me and to get out what you want me to say to your people, Lord. Lord, we are making disciples, changing the world and challenging our own understanding and living with your people here at home and around the world. Lord, I just pray that as we move into this series, that you teach us what we need to know, and you throw away the things that we should not be battling with. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. This morning we're going to be looking at Luke 14:33. Luke 14:33. If you have Luke 14:33, holler back word. So as we're dealing with this idea of this series called Sacrifice, there's a particular sermon that we're going to be talking about for today and over the next 4 weeks called Accepting What We Cannot Change. Accepting what we cannot change. I want you to know that if you cannot accept what you cannot change, you are in a world of trouble. And as harder as life is for us, and as we come together, imagine what life looks like outside these walls for those of us who have nothing to eat, who are living on the street. I just want you to know that the sacrifice that you are getting ready to make in your life, it cannot be because, somebody is telling me to change. It has to be because, number one, you recognize that you need to change, and number two, that God is changing you to be a better person. So as I said, Luke 14:33, let's stand there. So therefore, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. So therefore, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. I just wonder if you are under the impression that you can come in with this baggage and be a Christian. Or maybe the baggage is already there and you don't know what to do with it, so you just carry it around instead of releasing the baggage that you're coming in with. So I have a question. Are you willing to let those baggage go? Are you willing to put down the suitcase that harbors all your misery, your pain, your suffering, that harbors all the things of your past life moving into your present life? If so, I'm here to tell you, if you cannot renounce all of that, then you cannot be Jesus' disciple. So, as we look into what it means to accept what we can't change, it also means we need to be fully aware that we're not the only ones that's looking at the change or lack thereof. There are other people around us that's trying to keep us accountable, and we're not hearing them. Some of you have gone your entire life living with guilt, living with pain, living with suffering, until one day you just finally wake up and decided, you know what, I'm going to give myself to you, God. But for some of you, it's more complex than that. It's harder. Because not only are you dealing with the baggage of the traumatic experiences that you've already been through in your past, which we've established from my first series called Freedom, what that looks like. It is now time to move on. So, I just wonder how many of you have been living a lie or telling yourself a lie. That nothing is going to get better. That no matter what you do, nothing is going to get better. Because at the end of the day, for you, you feel as though failure is the only option that there is out there. Because that's all you've experienced. Nothing but rejecting, nothing but failure. You feel like you're out of option. So you carry the baggage with you. And although it feels as if nothing is ever going to go your way, there's something deep down inside you that's saying there's hope. And whatever that hope looks like, it's down there deep. And it's trying to come out of you, and it's trying to do its best, but you keep suppressing it. You keep making excuses for why it shouldn't come out. Why that hope shouldn't be where it should be placed in your heart. Instead, it's deep down in your soul. And not at the place, at the center of your life. And for some of you are so prideful, so ready to get out there and explore the world and see what everything is, and you want to be this person that's so eager to want to dip their hand into everything but changing who you are. You're so private, you're so self-righteous, you're so selfish that nobody can tell you anything about nothing that's wrong with you. Until one day God just intervenes and snatches all that you love away. So your pride gets shattered in a heartbeat. And for some of you, you may have not had any tragedy at all. And whatever that tragedy looks like for you, you may have lost a loved one. You may have lost your kid. You may have lost somebody somewhere. And so you just hit a wall. You've gone to church all your life only to find out that there was nothing there for you. So you leave and then you come back years later. So I have a question. Are you truly committed and are you ready to do the work that Christ has carved out for you? Because if so, that means you're ready to accept that you have struggles in your daily life. You're ready to accept that you can't change your past, but you can move on. Let me say this to you. Do not let your past affect the present. Because whatever affects the present affects the future. In other words, do not be so consumed by your past, by your mistakes, by your failure, by everything that's going on with you, by everything that happened to you in your past. Don't be so consumed with that it affects how you live today. Because at the end of the day, people, we have struggle. We have all of these things in our baggage of luggage of things that we don't want people to know about. So we hide behind a mask. I have a question for you. Do you know that mask you're hiding behind is only shielding your tears, your pain, your suffering, your everything that was wrong with you in your past? So you've become so consumed with grief, with pain, with suffering, with everything that's wrong with you. And so the best thing you think of, well, I just need to withdraw myself from all of this situation instead of owning it and dealing with it. So therefore, Jesus says, so therefore, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. Anyone who cannot freely admit, I am a wretched soul and I need the everlasting long of Jesus in my life to fulfill me, to give me the hope that I so desire. Because I'm not getting that fulfillment through whatever it is I'm searching out there in the world. So, I just wonder, are you leaving your baggage in the past? Let that be ancient history so you can focus on today. I just wonder, are you leaving everything behind? Are you willing to work towards that? Because your future, because right now, your present, at this very moment, your present will affect your future so long as you don't allow your past to affect the present. And some of you have gone your whole life thinking you're something when you're really not. Let me tell you a story. About a year ago, I went to this summer camp, the summer Christian camp for people with disabilities. And at that camp, I met some really amazing people. And these amazing people were missionaries, were people from the kids from the new generation, as well as kids from my generation. Now, I call them kids because I'm 26, and in my family, if you're 26 and older, you're considered a kid if you're 3 years or 4 years younger than me. That's just how my family worked. So Then I met this young man, who obviously had a love for God and a love for biblical truth. But I saw something in this young man, that made me understand just how fragile and weak we can be. And what I saw was searching for something while thinking he already has it at something. Let me say it again. What I found was him searching for something while thinking he already has that something. He hasn't dealt with any of the struggles that he proclaimed God rescued him from. And you can be dying while you're still living. And that's the worst kind of suffering. Because you haven't been set free from all the things of your past. So you turn to God as a way of saying, God, take this thing from me, but you haven't dealt with the only thing that's concerning your past. And while I won't get into the specific of our conversation, I will say this. This young man obviously loved Jesus, but he has a hard time accepting that there are some of us who love Jesus, but who are gay, who are at the intersection of faith, homosexuality, or LGBT, who are, very well versed and has leadership training. So when it came time to talk to this young man about the Bible, it became clear that this young man was not in the right headspace to be talking to somebody like me. And I'm not bragging. But at that time, my ministry wasn't fully developed, and I didn't start teaching until much later on. So I was still in that phase of, I'm not even sure if this is the right thing. I'm not even sure if I should even be here at the moment. So I had all these questions. And what this young man told me, and I will never forget it, and still to this day, it breaks my heart because I knew exactly what he was saying. He told me, Willie, I care about you, but I strongly believe you are living a lie. That statement threw me in for a loop, and I'll tell you why. Because at the moment, and in that moment, it took me a minute to figure out, no, you're not talking about me. And that's the sad part. The pain and the suffering that this young man had endured for the majority of his young life up until this point that we met. I was so in my feelings that I didn't recognize that he had baggage that he needed to remove. You see, sometimes when people throw out harsh words that do not really reflect your life, it's projection. And it's a reflection of their life and what they're going through. So, if I had a chance to talk to this young man, I would, number one, advise him to get counseling, professional counseling. Number two, to figure out what's causing the pain and the suffering that he has endured. And number three, take it to God and leave it to God. This young man was trying to find some way to excuse himself of his own struggle. And for a while, I thought he was referring to me because at that time, my life was okay. It wasn't, perfect or anything. But to say that he believed that he strongly believed I was living a lie, that sounds more like he was living a lie. Because the life or the lie that he thinks I'm living is a life that I've always lived when I got in my adulthood. This is my life. And so this is what I fail to understand. You can be as good of a Christian, you can have as good of a good heart, and still die. Let me say it again. You can be a good Christian, you can have a good heart, you can be well-meaning, but you're still dying. Even though you may have everything. And that's because you haven't renounced a particular part of you that Jesus is working on with you, and you're wanting to swap that away and say, Jesus, I got this. I don't need you. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for bringing us together, for giving us the opportunity to worship you, to know that you are the one true King. I want to pray that as time goes on, we are at the mercy of your love. Lord, I want to pray for the young man I talked about in my story. Lord, wherever he is, I pray that you watch over him. That you teach him some things about you that you want him to know. And that you allow him to figure out that pain and that suffering that he went through of a child. And Lord, I pray that you, for the rest of us that are listening to this, that we understand that no matter what we go through, we're always going to have you as our Father, as our leader. And we know that through you, we can only get to. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.